You're like, of course that's mine.
Oh, yeah, right? It would be fun. So I just hit record and I didn't put my light on yet. So let me put my light on because I always do this. I'm so bad.
No
Alrighty. How's
worries.
that? That looks much better and bright.
Cute ambiance.
Yay. Welcome everybody to the next Experience Tuesdays. I'm here with Karen Bakiran. We were testing out each other's last names when I hit record. But I know, Karen, you're fairly new to my tribe also. Your partner,
Yes.
or Tina, I've known her a little longer. And
Yes.
I connected with you through her.
Mm-hmm.
I've now been on your series, you've interviewed me, and we've done exchanges and all, yeah. So Karen is
Yeah.
awesome, everybody. You're going to absolutely love her.
Thanks.
So we're here to talk today about grounding yourself through food, eating, lifestyle, and mindset. And Karen agreed to come on and talk today and do this video with me because she's going through a personal journey with food and lifestyle.
Yes.
And mindset is a big part of the work that you do. So I think it's perfect. Do you want to? So, alrighty. I told Karen that I would introduce her. So Karen is
So
a
lazy.
it's different every interview. I don't, it's all good. So Karen is a channel, a medium, and a quantum healer. And she does do you call is it a practice? Is it a business? Is it what you do with Tina? Is that just
It's a it's a little bit of everything. Therapy, it's a well-rounded kind of like business. So yeah, it's a business. It's like we do work with a lot of clientele. We do a lot of energetic work, so it's all remote mainly because I'm in Canada and she's in the US, right? So but yeah, we work together, all remotely, meeting a lot of people around the world, and we help, like especially through Beyond Quantum Healing, and we also do spirit releasement therapy, remote spirit release. So it's just like energetic checks and
yeah,
things like that. So yeah, she's usually a facilitator, and I'm like the medium, and so we work always in that dynamic. Yeah,
and it's awesome. I have experienced it, and yeah, they're really great sessions. I learned so much about myself, and it was
yeah,
a lot of fun too. So yeah, I highly recommend
good.
it.
Thank you.
So I call myself a quantum healer. And for me, I define it, I explain to people that what I do is I work across all timelines, lifetimes, and dimensions. But for you, when
Yes.
you say quantum healer, it's different. Do you want to explain what that means?
Well,
Or
it really depends too, because like in our sessions, we do go across, dimensions,
yeah,
parallel, timelines, etc. So anything is possible, going in the past, going in the future, I don't know, up in the universe, wherever it leads us. So I think it's like kind of like the same. It's just a way of like how we go about getting there, I'd say.
right.
So it's like we go through like a hypnosis process and then bringing our client in. So sometimes I'll work and be surrogate for the client, or I'll work in tandem, like what I did with Lisa, and we'll work together. So both of us will go under and then have an experience. So yeah, I think that's what it is. It's just doesn't matter where you land. It's just a matter of landing, and you'll always get what you need in that time, right?
Exactly. So for me, the difference is that you have the hypnosis component. That is not
Yes.
something that I practice. I've never been trained for that. I don't do that at all. So you have an actual process that you do.
Yes, there's a process to go through, and then we just become like an investigator, and we ask questions, and we just kind of like you and I, as going under as the clients, it's like we kind of just come in and give the information that we're given when we're in the quantum field.
Right, which
That's
is
it.
awesome.
Which
So,
is anything, endless.
right. So for my sessions, what I was doing was we connected to my higher self.
Hmm.
We're asking my higher self questions
Yes.
about where I'm headed on my journey, and
Yes.
what is coming up to be healed right now. And basically, the way I understood it, I wanted to know what was coming up for healing so that it could help me prepare and also like maybe be a little more comfortable with it. but really to
Mm-hmm.
integrate the knowledge.
Yeah.
And I surprised myself what I learned about myself. Some of it was surprising. Some of it kind of took me by surprise. Some of it was more like, yeah, I
Stuff
kind
you already know and need to confirm
of had,
type
and I
thing.
had a sense for it, but I didn't realize that it connected in that way, kind of thing. So
Okay.
yeah, so it was really helpful for me to learn about the higher self
Yeah.
more,
Okay.
because I
Right.
have conversations with myself,
Mm-hmm.
never having somebody facilitate it. So it was a totally new experience.
Oh yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Really honed in.
Yes.
So yeah, I love the fact that you picked March to do mindset. And like I said, we can get into the personal journey about grounding. Well, I mean, talking to the higher self and having that kind of a session is very grounding, because like I said, the information gets integrated,
Mm-hmm.
and I know what that means. Maybe do you want to explain what that means for the listeners? Like, how, what does it mean for that information to get integrated? I know, but
Oh well, my perception of it. Yeah, like when the information comes in, it's just like a matter. Like for me, that I have a process. Like my process is like when information comes in, I have a line of questioning in myself. So I come into a place of like interviewing myself and understanding what it means in my life and how can I weave it in and kind of weed out old programs. So it's like when new information comes in, I allow it to settle in. So like integrating it in my body is like really in a way of sitting in it and accessing it, and kind of applying it. Because we can have all the theory that we want in life and in our spiritual stuff, but in our spiritual practice. But it's like, yeah, the real thing is, can you put that theory into practice and do it and apply it and be it? So it's like unpeeling the old program and layers of your old self and then coming into that new place where it's like more effortless, where you don't have to wear a mask and pretend to be something you're not. So for me, like, um that's for me is like how I ground my process. It's really applying it. So maybe you have a different way of expressing it, but for me, that's just like what it is. It's like I put it in, I put into practice. It becomes part of me. So it is like kind of like I said, weaving out the old and then bringing in the new and then being that.
right.
Right.
I
Okay.
tend to use the term. No, that's perfect. I think you that was a stellar explanation. That was way better than how I describe it. But yeah, I mostly talk about integrating when I'm talking to my TRE students, because we're integrating the energy. You know,
Yes.
we're going through a healing process, and there's an energetic shift, and that
Mm,
information needs to integrate into us so that it,
yes.
and then the motions, going through the actual exercises, going through the actual stretches, that they themselves integrate into the process that is Teary, that brings you to the shake, that brings you to the release. And so
Yes.
they're integrative steps to get you to where you want to be, like you said. So
Yes.
it's awesome. I think for some people that can be a tough brain wrap
Right.
around, but
Right. It's hard. I mean, like, because we're all deeply programmed by life itself and just that influence. And so it's like when you introduce something new that's out of your what you're used to, out of your ordinary, it you really have to come to a place where it's like you're understanding that you have the capacity to change, to or upgrade. I like to say upgrade because sometimes change may not be like a positive thing, but an upgrade in yourself that you are,
improving.
um, yeah, this is your birthright, to upgrade, to evolve. I think it's a natural process where it's like, you're doing things that are good for you, doing things that are reaching, like allowing you to reach your highest potential and getting to a higher potential as we move along. Because, like, this is like a stepping stone. We have to take the steps to get there. So we have to start somewhere. We're not going to skip a couple of steps and then, like, not learn the lessons in between, right? That's what it's all about, really. For me, it's like learning that lesson and understanding yourself on a deeper level, and you meeting yourself at that level. You're able to kind of integrate that, and then when something new arises, it's like a slow integration. And then when you look back, in your past and stuff, you're like, wow, I really changed a lot. Like a lot of things, I'd had to go through a huge process to get somewhere. So it's like little things, like, so that's why, like, when people, it's just like we don't see our shift because we think it's supposed to be such a drastic jump, but it's not. It's a gradual thing, because it doesn't work like that. We don't work in like humongous shift, like changes. Even though we might make like a huge life-changing change, there's a process to get there. It's just, we have to make that decision, and then follow the way that like the universe is bringing you there, like going with the flow of it, and then getting there. It's not like I'm going to jump and then, wow.
Yeah.
You miss the whole process. The whole journey itself is really where it's at, where all the magic is. But I find like just making that decision of, making that big leap is really a big one. Committing. I always say that, like Tina and I always say that to our clients. It's like you have to be able to want to commit fully
Right.
and passionately with yourself. Because if you don't, then, it's going to be like either a half-assed job, or you're just doing it because it sounds good.
Right.
But it's hard. It's a really hard process to come into when you really have to accept the change. And it's scary because it's like we're so used to um, keeping ourselves safe, even if it's like anything. It doesn't matter what it is. We just want to stay safe. So again, I think that's why it's beautiful that it's a process. And I think the more courageous you are in choosing to jump,
Mm-hmm.
you appreciate the process much more, because you're actually seeing yourself change and letting yourself grow without having to resist it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the word commitment. I often use the word investment. So
That's a
slightly
good one
different
too.
undertone. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we were talking about programming. So as an eating psychology coach, this is I talk about belief systems a lot, which you're using the
Yeah.
word programming. When I'm talking energy work, I tend to use programming, but when I'm wearing my eating psychology coach hat, I tend to refer to belief systems. And
Yeah.
so they're pretty much the same thing, but
I use both too. When I
yeah,
explain it to my children, because they're young, right? So I use both so that they understand that it's essentially the same thing. But
yeah. And so when you're ready to commit to investing in yourself,
mm,
that's when that's the process. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's cool. And I know a lot of people, I can think of a family member of mine, something I observe. He's always looking for what's next, what's next. He's never in the present moment.
Yeah.
He's never here right now. And
Yeah.
I see how that is such a hardship for him. Everything he's missing,
Right.
everything.
Right. It's a way of control. That's absolutely it. Like we think that we can have control by, and that's a great example. It's just like, what's the next step, or how far, like what do I need to get to a place of happiness? So you're always like, let's say, looking for the happy and saying, I got to do this to be happy. And then the journey happens and you finally get it, and you're like, what's the next step? You didn't even appreciate how you got there, right? So yeah, absolutely, presence is extremely important, and it's such a practice. um, because our minds are always working in the background, bringing us places, bringing us to different thoughts, and sometimes those thoughts can chain to other thoughts, and we just lose ourselves. So it's like, how can I be present? Like, that was really a huge thing for me to learn. I think I only learned that in the last, 33. I mean, I was never present for 33 years until I learned what that meant. Um, and then anchoring that into my body, like being here. And it's only like, I've only gotten to know myself in that way because I used to dissociate a lot
Mm.
and not be here, because being here was so painful. Being in my body was so painful. Being in my life, I couldn't do it. And yeah, I didn't even know what I was dissociating. I thought that was a normal thing that people did.
Well, you don't know what, not you, right? Yeah.
Right. I have no idea, right? So until like I was able to learn what grounding was. And then when I learned how to ground myself, just imagining it, sometimes all you need is just to imagine it. Um, yeah, I would physically feel like my legs would go numb up to my knees. And that's how I knew that I was out of body. And now, like, it's really rare that that happens where I feel that out of body thing. So I recognize it now. So, like, being out of my body for 33 years has now, like, I know what it feels like to be out of it, because it was a normal thing. But now I'm creating a new normal where I'm in my body more. And then when like, and I especially feel it in the mornings, like when I wake up too quickly, I have to give myself some time because I don't feel in my body. I have to ground myself and then get up. So yeah, I feel myself walking around and I feel like I'm just kind of like a floaty like body, just kind of like going with it. But yeah, I'm not in my body fully.
That's interesting. For me,
Yeah.
I was the opposite. Now, I never thought of it like that, but I was the opposite because I suffered from pain. When
Okay.
15 years ago, I fell and I broke my sacral plate in
Oh
half,
God.
something
Oh
that you're
my God.
not supposed to be capable of doing. It's the thickest bone in our body. And I managed to just like,
Oh my God.
I literally separated the right half of my body from my left and was disconnected. And I didn't walk for a whole year.
Oh
And
my God.
for 15 years, I was pretty much in pain. My
Yeah.
my back, my leg, I mean, just I was in pain. And so you're using the example you would wake up and you would have to come into your body. For me, it was the opposite. I was so in my pained body that I would I would
You
do
need to jump out.
morning. Yeah, I would do everything I could in the morning to stretch and, to release the tension, ease the tension so that I could relax out of myself and into life. Like I had to get
Right.
my body because my body was in such pain. So
Right.
it was a little different for me, but yeah, I mean, we all have our own,
Yeah.
but that's interesting. I never thought of it like that. Yeah, I used to say to everybody, I'm like an 89, 90-year old, trapped in a 40-year-old body.
Oh my
Getting
God.
ready
It's so
for,
challenging.
yeah, some days I really literally, it would take me like sometimes 20 minutes to just like turn myself on my side and like push myself up to get
Ugh.
to sitting position to get out of bed. Like, when you wake up, you have to pee so bad, and it would just like, like it would just take me
Right.
forever to get out of bed.
Wow.
I would lay there for, a long time with my knees up to my chest to stretch and
Oh
just,
God.
yeah, awful.
All behind you now.
Gone. Exactly.
Yeah,
I
it's
have
gone.
released all of that.
Isn't it crazy how you just like you can forget how much in pain you were?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're just like, wow.
So for you leaving the body, was it because you were in emotional pain?
Yeah, mental pain, mental and emotional pain. Yeah, big time. A lot of trauma, like childhood traumas, and just checked out.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be here, but it's just like I wasn't, but I had so much love. I knew that I loved so much that I would never, I think I was also like a little bit, ahead. I always connected to adults as a child. So I knew that if I wasn't there, or if I let myself go or whatever, that would hurt them. And I didn't want to do that. Like I loved them so much that I would never do that. So, I mean, I stuck around and I just made a world somewhere else. And I just was on cruise control my whole life. And then when I woke up, my cruise control led me to marriage and children, and it's really rude awakening to wake up in a place like that and you're just like, what did I do? What have I done? Because I don't want this.
Yeah.
It's scary because I felt like I was having a nervous breakdown, or I felt like as if I was a walk-in, where I was just like, I go, these aren't my children, this is not my husband, this is not my life, this is not my work. Like I felt really disconnected from it. I don't think I was a walk-in, but I felt like it was just an old death, like where you come into yourself and your soul is finally taking the driver's seat, and it's just like, okay, now we have to do damage control.
Yeah. So you chose new perception, you chose new mindset, you chose to embody. What
Absolutely.
were some of the tools that you either found or adopted or created, or, like what would you recommend? What would you offer?
Like in terms of making those decisions,
Or mindset? Yeah.
mindset, I think coming into a place where I never felt like life could be happy, I really didn't believe that. I always thought it was complete bullshit. When I saw people being happy, I'm like, that's crap. Like, it can't be. I did escape. I did a lot of escapism where I did see it in Hollywood movies and TV shows, that romantic side and the happy side where the movie ends at that part. It's always ending at that point. So I'm like, that's crap. Like I knew that it didn't work out like that in life. I looked around and I was a natural observer and I looked at people and I'm like, there's no fucking way that these people are happy. I could see it. I felt it.
Yeah.
And I knew people who would fake it. I saw it because I was doing the same thing. You see yourself in other people.
Yeah.
And what was it when I woke up? Because I was seeing this, like, I think, we're never really partially awake. Like we're partially awake. We're never like fully asleep. I find like us, like the people who are in it now, like you just have that knowing, that kind of observation, but not fully up yet. But when I really woke up, I was really excited to be alive. I think that was the first thing. I was just like, oh my God, I have a chance. I could make my marriage work. I could, I like everything that I felt dread for, the perception changed completely. So I was like, I gave my marriage a chance. Like I put it all on myself, like all that pressure on myself. I go, well, I'm the one who can change. So let me do the change. And I put that all on my shoulders. And that's not necessarily, I'm still coming from a place of like where I'm still in an unhealthy relationship. I'm still not there, but I still have that burst of life that finally had surged through me. And so I feel like that perception change was a huge one. It's just sometimes you just need to see life in a different way. And all it was for me was, it was something that I heard. It was saying, stop looking at the things that you don't have and just look at the things that you do. Because I feel like a lot of people put their focus on, if I had this, I'd be happier. And if this happened, then great, it would be so much better. But it's like, yeah, it's just turning it around and seeing what you do have.
Right.
Just a little bit of a twang to it. How much can you appreciate what you have?
Right.
And it's just like, I don't have a big house. I don't have whatever. I always say, like, I live in a basement apartment. Like, I have 2 bedrooms, but I share the bed with my children. Like, but you know what? That's all I need. I, it's just like, as much as I complain and I say like, oh God, you guys take up too much space in the bed. I love that they're with me because they still at that age where they still want their mom, and that's something I appreciate because it's like, as a child who I felt was abandoned, it's like, I just wanted my mom. And that's something that I want to be for them. Like they have me there. So, it's just like things like you take your life lessons instead of being victimized by it, you empower yourself instead. I find that's the big thing. It's like we can choose, we have choices. And that was a huge thing in my awakening, that we have choices to make. I can choose to feel sorry for myself, which I do sometimes. I'm just like, oh, all bummed out. But then after a certain point, it's like, okay, get up now, like get off your ass. Like you got to parent yourself. The way that you didn't have that support growing up, right? That was me. That was definitely me. So I had to parent myself and be like, okay, like you had your moment. You're allowed to have your feelings. Again, bringing myself through the process of feel the shitty feelings, feel it till it brings you to your knees. And then you get up. You wipe your tears and you get up and be like, okay, what's next? How can I rise above this? Like it's okay that I feel this way. And then when those feelings, like literally the energy of it passes out, it's like in comes the light. Because I always imagine that it's just like, let me have my human feelings, and then now let my higher self come through and let the light come in to make, because it's making more space. It's always making more space. We're always pushing it out and down and allowing yourself to be. And I feel that's more empowering because like then when we stuff it all down, we're not giving ourselves the time to process. We're not giving ourselves to be human. We're always trying to run away from being human, but we incarnated here for this very experience to be human. Right. And being able to be, like a, really like technically it is the body and the ego that is having the spiritual experience. Right. So it's like integrate them together. Have respect for your body. Even if you have a pain body, it's like you have to be able to understand, this is where I had to change the perception, that my body is holding it for me. My body is taking it for me and not being able to scream until it becomes physical pains, right? Then you know that it's trying to communicate with you. It's learning how to communicate with yourself, all parts of yourself. Understanding that my ego that's speaking to me is just scared. It's a scared part of yourself, the little child, you know. There's so many aspects of yourself that are just coming into place, and being able to put a voice to them. Because I feel like when you put a voice to your pain, it leaves. It's just so as simple as just saying, I see you. It's just like us too. We want to be understood and heard, right? We
Yeah.
just want someone to understand us and to see that we are valid, that our feelings are valid.
Witnessing.
But it's just like that, you know, that whole process just, and that is just bringing it all in. And I feel like I was talking about this yesterday. It was like, you know, that false sense of self where you feel like you have to over compensate for your confidence, like you're pretending to be confident. You know, the people that are tough and they're like, oh, you know, don't mess with me and I don't really care. But you know, they give a shit. They're the ones who really give a shit. They're just, it's just a facade so that you don't really mess with them. But you know, like I was like that. I used to play that tough girl role until Tina's my, she's like my partner. She's, and we're twin flames. So I mean, until she looked at me in the eyes, and I felt completely naked, like vulnerable, like as if she was seeing right through the tough girl. Like she's like, you're not tough. And I felt like really small at that moment, like really, like I fell into myself, and I was like, oh my God. It was really scary for me to be seen for the first time, to be vulnerable in front of a stranger. Um, but again, it was, how do I explain it? Like, it was just like, wow, to be seen that way,
Yeah.
where you've hiding yourself for a long time.
Yeah.
And I find that with that false sense of confidence, you unpeel, there's so many layers of yourself, like you say, your programs, your belief systems, everything, like everything that you've learned, your paradigms, all of it, coming into a place where you can step into that authentic self. Becoming authentic, I feel, is a really beautiful thing, because we're all unique expressions of God, right? So it doesn't matter what that looks like, whether you're flawed or not. We're all flawed, we're imperfect, but we're perfect, you know.
Yeah.
um, and then it's like, then you can, when you don't give a shit anymore about anything, like about every, like people's opinions per se, and you only can meet yourself and you're happy with yourself there and be happy in this present moment, then that is where the true confidence is. Then I can carry myself.
Right.
That's where it's like, where that's where the power is. It's just like, you don't have to pretend, like you don't have to tell people you're confident. You are, that is a being, you are being.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I from trauma training,
Mm-hmm.
when I was healing from my ordeal, my personal ordeal, one of the words that first struck me, I think one of my counselors was the first time I heard it, but she called it witnessing myself. And
Mm-hmm.
that first time I heard that word or that phrase and applied it to myself, like I burst into tears. It was like I really
Yeah.
needed that. I really needed to be witnessed. And then I went on to have, hire a writing coach and take a writing course, and witnessing myself by writing it, by making it real. When you write
Yes.
it into the world, it becomes real. It's out of your
Yeah.
head, and it's and
Oh God. Yeah, that's really scary part.
us, read it to each other in the class or whatever, and having others witness it. And oh my God, talk about an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah,
I really needed that, and it helped me so
absolutely.
much. So yeah, I understand. We you and I, our stories are mirroring, and we have like the same solutions. We did the same thing in essence, but we did it from opposite sides.
Yeah.
But yeah, we totally had the same results. So and I'm sure it's not just us. I mean, it's everybody. I'm sure everybody
Everybody,
will throw in
have
their
their own
story. It's
process.
going to sound the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
we all do go through it. And I had to really practice um, being happy. I know that sounds really funny. I've told this story in a couple of different places. before, but I actually had to practice. I was one of those people who, before I went to bed at night, I had to write down what made me smile that day, or what made me feel happiness. Like, where was I finding happiness in my days? And for the first couple of weeks, first couple of months, like, I was lucky if I had one a day. It took me months
Yeah.
to get to the point where I even had one a day, and then to get to
Yes.
the point where I had more than one a day, you know.
Right.
So I mean, just going through that process alone of witnessing myself in that, that was really an eye opener. And I mean, yeah, just
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's hard. I mean, like coming into it, it's really hard because it's like, again, getting in and out of victimhood. It's hard because it's like we're so held back by our old stories. Our old stories is what keeps us back. And it's like, are you able, who are you when you can let go of that story? Who are you if you aren't any of these things?
right,
And it's like hard because it's like, it's true. Who am I? You're
right,
everything. It's just like an understanding that you don't have to be anything and you could be everything all at the same time.
right.
Doesn't matter.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. That's it. All right, interview's over. That was perfect. No, just kidding.
We didn't even talk about food.
I know, in my brain, like, you started off with that, and I was thinking like, oh, I can convert this to an eating psychology example that I use again all the time. But then you kept talking, and I was like, nope, she just blew it out of the water. I'm lost. No, that was excellent. Thank you. You nobody could have said that more perfectly than you just did. That was awesome.
Oh,
But
thank you.
yeah, when it comes to eating, I mean, I do eating, and people think, well, they think that we're going to talk about food, and I'm like, it actually has this much to do with food.
Well, that's the
This might
coping
be
mechanism.
right,
Food is something that I feel is something else we need to build a relationship with. And I think about people who are doing their diets, and there's always that law of attraction. If you're always going to put diet, 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 that's what you're going to get. You're always going to be dieting, right?
which is a
But for
restriction, which is a prison mindset.
Yeah, exactly. For
But
me, it's like I don't like to be restricted. For me, it's more like thinking about everything in vibration, right? And that's hard for me growing up in a family where we ate everything. I was also like, I find I have food trauma. Like,
mm,
yeah, because like I was withheld. Like um I didn't have lunches. I didn't have snacks growing up. It would be my friends who would give me food.
mm,
And yeah, it was just like, I go, is that normal? Like, I was asking my sisters, I'm like, is this something I made up? Like, we didn't have food. Like, we didn't have lunches in elementary school. And they're like, no, we didn't. I'm like, wow. I was like, that's pretty fucking negligent. Like, and I'm trying not to judge my parents because they were, hardworking people and they were busy and whatever. It's just, it was the 80s. I don't know. I'm making that as an excuse. But it was just like, okay, well, it was what it was. I think that's why now when I have food, um, I feel like it connects people. I think like when we would have dinner at night, I was with my family. My childhood wound, big one, is abandonment. So you can see where myself is. It's like being together in dinner time was like the best time because
mm.
I was with everybody, right? And eating was the association. And then growing up, not having food during, like, don't judge my parents, okay?
No,
I'm just, no, I'm just saying, like, it's just like, wow, that's pretty negligent. But I mean, I've processed all of this, like about like, that's pretty messed up. I would ask them and they're just like, they just don't remember, because they were kind of in the grind of life as immigrants, just trying to make their way to pay the bills that we had a house and,
right.
so anyway,
And the
um,
example that I use as an eating psychology coach is similar. It's all about. I always start off every class or every coaching session with the question, "Who taught you how to eat?" Because
yes,
we come out and we're born, and we're not automatically feeding ourselves. Someone feeds us for the first
yes,
couple of years. We don't really
hmm
learn how to what it means to diet, or what a meal means, or what a celebration around a meal means, until we're much older,
Right.
until we're almost teens. Um,
Right.
and so we literally are raised on someone else's ideal about what a relationship with food and eating means. And then we get to
Yes.
college or high school or college, and something's like, I don't like this. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Usually, especially women, I think we diet for the first time in high school, because we're around different friends, we're exposed to different things.
I didn't have to diet. I just didn't eat.
Well,
Like,
but that
you
was your
know, but
diet means what you consume.
right.
So it's, that's another misnomer. So, but yeah, and then I'm Italian, so it was the opposite for me. Everything was celebratory. And I got
Yeah.
sick of the celebrations. Oh my God, another one. Like,
My God, I loved it. I married an Italian, so it was the opposite. It was always an abundance of food. So I was like, oh my God, I'm in
too
heaven.
much, too
I was
much.
in heaven. Yeah, I know, too much. Yeah, trust me. But I appreciated it because I love the things that I was lacking was coming into this
Yeah.
family where we would eat, and it was always around food, right? Like, what do you want to eat? I'm like, okay, what do you got? Um, so yeah, it was coming into that place where there was no food, and then we stopped eating together. So, I know, and then I met my boyfriend, which was my ex-husband now, and introduced me to this whole eating problem.
Issue.
But I was right, it was an issue. Well, not really, but I mean, like, I appreciate it. I loved it. I loved holidays. I knew that was going to be it. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to invite my family. I'm like, you can't wait to eat. Don't eat anything. Don't eat for 2 weeks. Like, we're going to have Christmas is coming. It's true. And yeah, I took so much pride in that. Just the foods, the different varieties, and I love that I was not picky. I could eat anything, anything. I didn't care what it was. I was going to try it. I would try everything, and I'm still like that.
Good.
So yeah, and then the pandemic happened. Okay, or even like all the roller coaster, emotional roller coaster with me, like leaving my husband and trying to build my life and away from all my old programs, right? And so I would eat. When I'm alone, I'd eat. When I was bored, I'd eat. When I would, there was always something. Eating was always there to comfort me. So then it became an addiction where it was just like sometimes I would be in session, Lisa, no joke, tandem sessions. Tina's putting us in induction, and I'm thinking about something. What am I going to cook later? What am I going to eat? What am I going to order? What do I want to eat? Like, it would be like that in my head because I would already have like the images come in because, like, again, I'm a natural daydreamer. That's something I did for like 30, like forever, my whole life. So I already had, like, the information was already pouring in. And then once I had my information, I would be like, oh, can we go? What do I want to have? Like, it was just a thing until it was my turn to talk. I would talk, add my 2 cents, and then it would be the client again. And I'd be like, oh yeah, maybe I should have that. It was terrible. Like, so I'm telling you all my dirty secrets. So, but yeah. And then again, like when I was talking about what you put in your body is vibration. So again, I would eat animals. I don't know so then when I was thinking about how, the cruelty of how they treat the animals, because it is a business, right? So I can imagine that they don't treat them well. And I'm putting that in my body. So then I moved to, let's say, halal or kosher meat type thing. So I know that there's a process, like there's a ceremony. So that was a little better, but it's still not it's not the best. So I'm trying, like, I'm in a place now where I'm like trying to I deleted all the apps off my phone. I would confess to, like, Tina, we would be like talking on the phone or watching a movie together, and I'd be like, I did something bad. She's like, what? I go, I ordered food. And she's like, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I ordered food. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it would be something. I was like, it was just a cheeseburger, or it would be like a chicken, a spicy burger. Like, and then I was just like, okay, I need to stop. I have a problem. Tina's very guided to things. So it was funny because she's like, oh, this is for you. I thought it was for me, but it's not. It has nothing to do with me. She gets guided to videos, articles, things like that. So she sent me a YouTube video, and it was an Asian girl actually on the cover with a McFlurry in her hand, which was so me. And it said how food addiction ruined my life. And I was like, okay, that's that's for me. So I'm like, I'm going there. And I used to make excuses, and it is partially correct. I find it's like especially for people who are so hard on themselves and being like, calorie counting, it's like it doesn't matter what you're feeding yourself. I find the most deadly or toxic thing you can feed yourself is guilt.
Mhm.
I find that's worse. So it's just like, as you're eating something that you love, are you feeling guilty about it? You know?
Right.
Or are you feeling good about it and it's just like, just let it be? This is what I want in this moment.
Yeah.
So I would tell myself that a lot, like, but then I started to feel guilty.
Mhm.
And then it was like when I saw my Visa bill and I accumulated $400 worth of fast food, I was like, okay, that's a problem. That was only 1 month while I was in quarantine, and that was only the month of January. So it's very recent. This is a very recent transition for me,
Oh,
where it's like my toxic trait would be like I would grocery shop and then I would order food from Uber Eats. So it's like, okay, there's a problem. And admitting that problem, especially when you love food so much. Now I don't want food to become my enemy. I want to have a healthier and balanced relationship with it. So I'm being a little more conscious about what I'm putting in what I'm putting in my body. And this also comes with a place where you have to be able to respect your body while it's still healthy.
mhm.
We take it for granted so much. It's just like, um, it's like, do I have to wait till the doctor tells me that there's something wrong, like healthy wise?
That's not good.
No, I don't want to wait. I
Right.
want to be able to, because I know we can heal ourselves, right? And I think that mindset itself, just my body and I being able to communicate with each other, is already a healing process because it knows that I want to take care of it. It knows that I'm putting better foods in there because I want it to thrive. I want us all to thrive together, and that's just like something, again, it's like building that relationship instead of beating myself up for making bad choices. It's like, what can I do now? Can I forgive myself and start again? I think that's the thing. It's like we hold ourselves so harshly instead of like healthily accountable. Like, okay, I can make a different choice today. It's
Yeah.
going to be difficult and I have to use all the will that I have to fight this. We'll fight it, but to allow myself to process and ground it
I'm going
in.
to challenge you there. It's not about willpower, it's about mindset. So,
Okay.
positive
Yeah.
mindset.
Well, sometimes it does take a little bit of willpower.
Oh,
But that's why I was just like, how much do I want it? But it's like, again, I'm just like, I have to start somewhere, like why I was telling her, like, as I was eating the last barbecue, like chicken, it's like, okay, I'm deleting the apps. And she's like, well, you could just download them back. I'm like, no, I think if I want this, I want to do this for myself. If I put myself and hold myself accountable,
Mhm.
then I'm just going to take the effort. I'm just not going to download it back. Like,
You're going to invest in yourself.
yes, and if I really wanted it, then I'll get out of my ass and go get it myself,
And
you
that will
know?
slow you down and stop and give you the pause and make you think. And right.
Yes, exactly. It's the process instead of just how we're so easily targeted and be like, okay, we're right on the phone, we're scrolling. It's easy as a click. Here's my money and ring the doorbell. I don't even have to see you. You leave it at my door because it's no contact, right?
Right.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
And that's where you lose like $400. And it's just like, the hell did it go? And I don't feel good anyway after I eat that heavy.
Especially
So
if
it's just,
right.
yeah, and it's all the endorphins. It's just giving you all like the happy like things, and it's just like, oh, I feel so good. And then after that, you don't feel good. It's gone.
Yeah.
You didn't appreciate it. I'm already thinking about my next meal. Like it's just exactly like that. You're always in the next and the forward and not appreciating it. But I did appreciate that last combo, to be honest, because I was just like, I'm gonna celebrate that this is a new pathway to something better. And this is like my last supper,
Okay.
my last unhealthy supper, but it's just like kind of coming into that, concluding my chapter with my unhealthy eating, and I can do better. I can always do better. I'm not saying that I'm never going to eat unhealthy again, but
Right.
it's like I'm going to make better choices. I'm going to take that,
Right. You're choosing
choose better.
you're choosing yourself. Right.
Yes.
So yeah, it has little to do with food and not
No.
much to do with mindset and developing a healthy relationship with eating.
Mhm.
So as an eating psychology coach, that's how I work with people. We focus on the relationship. So,
Yes.
and then I would say, if you're, so how would you identify yourself? Would you identify with the label? And not that I need to label you, or not that you want to label yourself, but for sake of example, are you in that binge? No, there I go. I gave it away. Are you identifying
Mhm.
with binge eating, overeating, emotional eating, overcompensation, lack? Like what?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't even know, honestly. Maybe binge, but I'm also a boredom eater. Like sometimes I can go 16 hours without eating. And then, yeah, no, and it's not a problem. I have no problem doing that. And then I'll eat, but I don't find I'm like stuffing my face and I'm just whatever. Um, I don't know what that is.
Mm.
It's
Well,
not,
that's a perfect. So I like to, people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm an emotional eater. That needs to be under control. And I'm like, we're humans, we're emotional beings. So
right,
everyone is an emotional eater. There's nothing
right,
wrong with that. That's not a bad word. There's
right,
nothing wrong with that. So
right.
again, it's about mindset. So
Yeah.
it's about reperceiving, restoring, and all that kind of good stuff. So using those tricks, those tools for mindset, for choice, always investing in yourself, committing to yourself, committing to choose yourself, putting in the practice and the discipline, you know,
Yes.
it's, it, that's where the work is. That's
Absolutely.
any relationship in life, not just food or eating, but yourself, your friends, your social circles, your car, like it's all of those relationships.
Yes.
So
Absolutely. Yeah, so I've just been like kind of letting it be. Like I'm eating what's in my home. That's the like really bottom line. It's like I'm eating everything that I have at home.
good.
So it's a little better. It's hard because I share custody with my ex, so it's like hard for me to cook for myself, just for myself. That's the just challenging thing. So of course it was easier for me just to order for one, eat in bed, great. But it's like now I'm taking the effort to think about what can I eat that I love so much that I can eat it for, a couple of days. Like I'm not a picky eater, like I said, so I can eat leftovers. I have no problem doing that. So it's just like that, meal planning, making the effort for myself. Again, it's just like, do we want to make an effort? Do we feel that we're worth the effort? Sometimes, again, it is partly laziness. It is just like, I don't feel like getting up and doing something, and I got to think more about like what that process is, and it can get really stressful and overwhelming. But I'm trying to make it into a process where again, thinking about what is good for my body, what is good for my well-being, how can I nourish my life, and give myself more quality by
Right.
spending more time with myself. And sometimes it's obviously it's funner to be in a kitchen with your partner or somebody else, but I've
Kids.
learned how to enjoy it with myself, and patting myself on the back when it's really good,
Yeah.
and just that's it. Like I was never like a cook or anything like that, but because my imagination, I was able to make things just through what I imagined it would taste like, and then create it.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you're a natural cook. But yeah, let's
Apparently.
go back to the, yeah, so you were you're choosing to ground yourself in the lifestyle choice. Um,
Yes.
Again, I'm trying to just, pull this into the theme. But
Yes.
yeah, you're answering, you're hitting everything. So it's awesome. Thank you.
Oh, great.
And
Glad I
thank you
could do
for
that.
sharing, that was very
Thank you.
wonderful. But We can all relate. I know I'm thin. I'm a naturally lean person. I can lift a weight and then all of a sudden look like a bodybuilder. So I know I build muscle quickly, and I've never had a problem with, the way I look. I can get my body looking in good shape quick.
Yes.
And
Okay, good.
for me, but for me, because I can look that way, like you were talking about before about the masks, um,
Hmm.
just because of what you think you look like on the outside doesn't reflect on how you're actually feeling on the inside. So, in order to
Yeah.
get that physique, that appearance, I was not happy with my relationship with eating. I was forcing myself to eat in a way that wasn't natural. And since I've let go and I don't care anymore about what I really look like, and then since the pandemic, since COVID, not going out, not, I mean, I have a big food allergy, so I never ate out a lot anyway, because I have to be
Yeah.
careful. I have an allergy to soy, which is in everything that's outside of the home.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's really hard
Absolutely.
for me to eat out anyway. But yeah, same thing. Like once the once we were in lockdown and all that, I was just like, fuck it, bring on the cake, bring on I'm gonna like,
You know, right?
I
The
got
late night snacking is so bad.
yeah, it felt so good to feel full. And yeah, like, yeah,
Hmm.
so yeah, shape shifting again,
Always.
I'm too full now and I'm uncomfortable. So not that I want to like get back to looking all buff and stuff, but just, like I want to feel comfortable, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Absolutely. I
Just
find it's a balance. I mean, like I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling better that I'm just changing that itself. It hasn't been that long. I mean, I made this decision like at the beginning of the month actually. And but I mean sticking to it. I mean, I went from every day to nothing, right? So sticking to it, using my imagination, going grocery shopping, making choices where it's just like, do I want to eat that? Yes.
right.
And trying to integrate the kids into that too. I find that's hard
Uh,
because them too, they're just like, well, thankfully, well, they're like half Italian, so they pasta's okay, like we're good. Like it's just trying to get them to have a relationship with their food too, and
mhm,
understanding how what we put in our body is really like, think about it again as vibration.
right,
Put something alive in there.
right. So in the coaching, when I'm wearing again, when I'm wearing the coaching hat, we talk about passion. So my mentor, Mark David, who founded the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, he always gives this example. And he had a client who, he was like a doctor or something. So he would, like wake up in the morning, throw his clothes on and run out the door and get to work and just start seeing patients. And
Right.
he would turn over patients, so, like every 20 minutes or whatever. And then he would like run to McDonald's, eat like 2 cheeseburgers on the drive back to the office, and then he would work until dinner and he'd go home and he'd, like take out. And it was the same thing. Like,
Sounds like me. That's
he-
exactly it. Like grinding, like just going. Because for me, it's like I'll wake up like super last minute. I won't even like think nothing. Like I'll just go
right,
straight to work. I don't plan. Like I'm not a planner. Like,
right.
or they're like, let's do meal prep. I'm like, no, I'm not that person. I can't. That doesn't interest me. Like,
But he was eating 2 McDonald's cheeseburgers every day for lunch for something like 5 years or something.
holy shit.
And so, right. And so Mark was like, tomorrow, go to McDonald's, get the same 2 cheeseburgers, but instead of eating them on the drive back, I want you to park in the parking lot and sit there. And I want you to take a bite, and I want you to really enjoy that bite. I want you to taste that burger, taste that butter on the bun, taste,
Hmm.
taste that cheese, like eat that burger slow, like really be with your meal.
Right.
He came back the very next day and he's like, I hate cheeseburger. I hate McDonald's cheeseburgers. What have I been doing? Like he didn't even know
Right.
that he didn't
Right.
even
You're not even like present with your
Yeah,
food. It's just like, yeah, you're just not here. I find a lot of us are just walking zombies. Again, like I was on autopilot, like
right,
on cruise control my whole a long time.
right,
You're not even thinking.
right. So, like I said, you wearing the coaching hat, one of the things that I get people to do to ground into the process, to ground into the mindset, um, it's to be with your food. Have
Yeah.
that celebration. You know, you came from a place of lack, and then you jumped into celebration with food. So it makes perfect sense to me, you know, why you would embrace the celebration, you know, because I know how we Italians are. I mean, it's you're not kidding. It's a celebration. Like
All
it's
the time, even if it's just like Tuesday afternoon.
right, exactly. Wednesday's lunch, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it's and that's what, if you can take in every meal with that mindset, with that grounding, with that celebration, and really feel it all and appreciate and be in gratitude for that food and what it is, and
Uh,
enjoy the taste and enjoy the bounty and enjoy the abundance and enjoy every flavor, scent, touch, feel, texture, like all of it, there is no problem with how you look or feel because it's all amazing all the time.
right.
That raises those endorphins, and it, again, it has this much to do with food and this much to do with everything else.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
really hard to get people there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up with a like sister that was very much conscious of her, food. And for me, I was always really skinny, and she was always like maybe a little bigger, but I didn't even think she was that big. It was just my grandmother's voice that told her all the time that she was fat.
Right.
And she has that voice in her all the time. And, she's always like, I got to detox. I got to do a diet. I got to do this. And I'm like, go just enjoy your life. I go, while you still have it. It's just like,
That's a pattern that's ready to be healed for her. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, just enjoy. Like, life is about that. It's, again, like, I love the celebration part. I love the whole idea of family sitting together and eating together and talking about our day or whatever it is, having a conversation. So I hold on to that. I feel myself as that child. I don't have very many memories of my childhood, but that was a memory that I really hold to myself, exactly where I was sitting at that table and how I just loved the togetherness about it. And it was because we were eating together.
Right.
So it's just like, bringing that in,
Yeah.
and it didn't matter what we ate,
Right.
it was
Yeah.
all, that's all it is.
Exactly. Beautiful. Again, thank you. Is there anything else you want to add? Let's see. So we're talking about, let me just one more time. So grounding ourselves through food, eating, lifestyle, and mindset. Yeah, we've pretty much covered it. So lifestyle, we didn't really talk about that much. I mean, we were talking about mindset and everything, but making choices. So, and it doesn't have to just be food, but yeah, like everything, like how we be in life, how we do now, I think it's
Mm,
critical to our self relationship, to our authenticity, you know, healing, recognizing the programming, the patterns that are ready to be healed,
mm,
the beliefs, you know, unlocking and letting go of the that doesn't serve us, and you know, all of that. I mean, when you're ready to commit to yourself, lifestyle has to be a big part of it. You need to be ready to shift.
oh God, yeah. That's
Shift
the hard part. It's
process.
really being in that.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Making choices again. It's just going with it every day. It's not like dreading, like, oh my God, tomorrow I have to eat a vegetable. It's like, it's true though. Like, that would stress me out. It was just like, oh, I don't want to have that juice tomorrow. Like, I don't want to, that doesn't sound exciting.
mm,
Like, no one says celery is exciting.
I do. I love celery.
No, I know, but you know what I mean? Like, coming from a place where it's just like,
Yeah, I do.
and then it's like, salad. No one has, like, no good story starts with a salad, right? So it's
I know. Yeah, I have to agree with that. And I am enjoying my coffee with hot chocolate and vanilla in it.
I think I'm gonna go. It's snowing today, but I feel like I need to take a walk out. I don't go out very often, I need to add more play in my life. That was something that came up yesterday. Because I'm a homebody, and because like in childhood too, I was dragged around everywhere. Like my parents would just bring us everywhere, and I wouldn't want to go anywhere. I would want to stay home with them. So now I'm just such a homebody. And yeah, I hear it from my kids too. That I'm lucky enough that my ex takes them out and does activities in the wintertime. I don't like the winter. So it's like for me, I like to stay home, and they know that when they're with me, they're like, oh, okay, we're with boring mom, and I'm like, mm. Like my son made it a point yesterday. He was just like, yeah, I didn't bring my snow pants home. And I go, why? And he's like, because we're with you. So I know we're not doing anything. And I'm like, okay, thanks for that guilt. But no, but like it really opens my eyes. Like they're just mirroring something in me, right?
Yeah.
And he's exactly like me. He is me. So I see myself as that child, like, yeah, okay. I think I need to make a little bit of an effort where it's just too like I'm not balanced. I need to go out a little bit more, have a little bit of fresh air, give them that time too. Because I don't think they really care what we do as long as I'm doing something with them, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I just needed to I need to figure some stuff out when it comes to that.
Well, you're working on your process. Yeah.
Yeah, progress and process. It's
Yeah.
just like really like, like, we all have egos, right? So of course, hearing that from your own child, you feel resistant because it's like, who are you, child, to tell me? But I'm like, yeah, you're right to tell me. You're just telling me about myself. You're just reflecting something to me that I need to see.
Right.
So it's like, how willing are you to open up yourself to accept that like a 10-year-old is telling you something about yourself that you don't want to hear, that you don't want to accept because it's like, that
Yeah.
means I got to change again, or I got to do something again.
Yeah.
So
Time to invest.
yeah, and then I let it process. I let the guilt go, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make another choice. I have to
Good.
forgive myself and do better next time.
We're all doing that all the time.
Yeah, but we forget, right? We're
Mhm.
so hard on ourselves. We feel like there's no such thing as a reset, that we can't start again. But that's the big lesson. It's like we can always start again.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. And that's the beauty of it. But I was going
Hmm.
to say, how has Tina brought you? What has she brought you? How is she bringing you closer to that? How is she supporting you with that? Does she, again, mirroring, I'm sure, but
Yeah, mirroring for sure. It's just like I don't feel like I can hide from her, and I don't want to. I want her to know my dirty secrets because I find there's something about that, being able to unload on and tell somebody your most darkest skeletons. Even if it's just like I ordered a cheeseburger and I feel bad about it and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I don't care, and I'm eating it in my bed and I'm not wearing any clothes. Like it's just no, but you know what I mean? Like it's just like there's something liberating about that. And she holds that space for me to
beautiful.
she never makes me feel guilty about my choices. She has food addiction too. Like we both share that, but she's just on a different path where she's made better choices because she's had chronic illness. And that's why I value my body. And that's why I'm also taking other people's lives into perspective. Like I had a lot of the mental issues and she had a lot of the physical, where she has like, the chronic fatigue and all that, like fibromyalgia. Like the list goes on of how much pain she had to go through. And it's like, do I want to hurt myself to the point where I gotta follow suit and have to live with the consequences of my bad choices, where I had the consciousness to make better choices? So I use her as a beautiful example of where I could honor myself, or I want to honor my body. I love her so much that I honor her choices, and it's like I want her, and I know she loves me no matter what choices I make, but it's like if I want to stick around long enough and have quality of life together, because it took us so long to get to a place of union, I want to show up for her in that way. And I want to show up for myself too. Her is me. It's the same person, right? So it's like I want to bring myself a better version of myself where I love myself. And I think that's where it is. It's like There's nothing more beautiful than seeing your partner love themselves so much that they will do anything to get themselves to a better place. So I feel that's like something that we can mirror in each other, where I honor the goddess in her and she honors the goddess in me, no matter what that path is, even if I'm stuffing my face, like whatever.
Right.
It's just I'm human too. And it's like we can meet ourselves as humans and not have to change a thing. I feel that's the most liberating part, is I don't have to change you. I love you no matter what. And I can turn that perspective around, and I know it's the same for her. So I know that I'm cool, you know?
Yeah. And for everyone else
Yeah.
out there, definitely find your support system, find the tribe who will give you that. Find,
Yeah.
find that.
It's so important to be able to be yourself and not have to worry about what that looks like. I find we're so worried because we're all working from that wound and coping mechanism, right? Like for me, again, abandonment. It's like I'm trying so hard for someone to like me,
Mhm.
and for the wrong reasons. It's just like, you should like me no matter what. If I like myself and this is what it is, and I'm not going to change it. If
Right,
they're going to like me, they're going to like me no matter what.
right.
And it's hard to understand that because, again, we're working from a place of lack. And so we have to reverse it and work from a place of what we are, that wholeness that we already are.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's all reversing. Like you have to reverse everything.
Right. Beautiful though. Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you want to add to the conversation that you haven't already said? I thought you've really covered a lot of ground. Thank you for that.
Problem. I just think it's important to be here now and be happy, whatever that means to you. And
Perfect.
and if you're not, don't worry. Next moment. You always have the next moment to redeem yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. Perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to put everything in, the notes here, but how does everyone find you, your website, whatever, like social, where are you? Where can
Where are
we?
my socials? Yeah, you can find us on the website, quantumhealingwithtena.com, Tena. And same with, well, Instagram, it's my name, K Bakiran. So I don't know. I don't really like, you can email me too, karen.bakiran@hotmail.com. All the information will be down below or wherever you're going to provide it. And
Yeah.
reach out if you want. I mean, like, I'm here to support. And yeah, if you just want to check it out, have a chit chat,
Yeah,
I'm cool with that too.
to go back to the start of our conversation, using the hypnosis, having the conversations with our higher self, using
Mhm.
that as a tool to help us
Yes.
through our processes and, to get
Yes.
through these rough points in life and or to make that change. That's what you do. That's yeah.
Yes. Exactly. I'm always fighting with myself. I used to fight with myself all the time, ego and my higher self. I would have like literal conversations back and forth. I look like those crazy people that are talking to themselves. It was
I
me.
do that too. It's
Yeah, that was me. So I mean, like I used to have that. I'm like, why are you doing that? I'm like, I don't know why I did that. Like so stupid. And you're just so hard on yourself. You just want to be. So I mean, like we all have that in ourselves. We just want to be better. But
right.
it's like, to what point are you going to accept that you're already okay? It's fine.
Exactly. Meet me where I'm at and let's take the next
Yeah,
step together.
exactly.
Well, thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everyone, for
you.
being here. And thank you so much for agreeing to have this conversation for everyone to enjoy and learn from. And
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
yeah, thank you for supporting me. And
Yes.
anything that we can do together, I'm there. So
Appreciate that.
thank you.
Likewise.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks for being here.